This particular startup, again, when you take a look, have a little bit of it sketched out. And starting off with a circular part. It's elongated this time, so it's really more of an egg shape. But it does have the gesture with the spine coming out with the tail sketched out there. And if you can see, kind of the foreshortened of the two shoulders, along with the spine, and then the hip section replacement. So there's the circle, creating that body. This part coming around. Now as you start to do the line for the feet, try to put circular pieces in there so you can really see the front and center of that, and that's going to give you a little bit more of a connection there to this piece. Kind of working at the bottom of this section here and building up the character. So the circular for the pelvis, and then the legs just start off as a stick figure and then building that section up as you go. Round circles for the heel and also for the toe part. And just kind of building that part back. So it makes it pretty easy, but then going back up into the head, finding that center line, you can see a little bit of the arch there. And kind of the circular part for this ear, kind of a sliding connection there. And it builds this whole piece up. A little bit of the rounded section shows you where the hair is going to be. The eye line is almost horizontal. And you're setting this up. The eye is a little curve. You can still put the iris in with a little highlight. And this curve goes right up into the mouth. And using that U shape for the lower lip there. Coming down to the arm, keep it circular. And hopefully you'll see how to apply this to your own sketches and your own drawings there. Fingers there. Rounding that piece up. And build that part out. Now when you get most of the drawing sketched out, that's a part of taking the eraser, and again just rolling it is one way. You can just kind of lightly swipe it. It's just going to take off some of the extra graphite. You can see it on the edge there. And just make it easier to ink in. Try and use a little bit of the shading section to it. So again, just using the twin type and a pilot marker. And depending on where you start, if you do start with the eye, it gives you something to focus on. Still trying to keep a light edge there. Keeping the pupil out there. And giving it a little bit of a highlight is just going to help your feel for the entire sketch there. Just doing a little bit of a section here. So again, don't push too hard with the old marker. And bring that section in so you can kind of get it pretty quickly. Get that section in there. A little bit of the fur. So just kind of going with a thin outline to start. Build that piece, just the ear on the back, just making it smaller on the side. You can kind of see the eye line here with the cheek section there. And just letting the texture of the fur kind of show through, so it gets you a little bit of that. Still keeping a thin to thick approach to this. And just kind of letting the line take a little bit of the fur just to see how it looks. Taking a look at the overall section of the line there. And it builds that section there. So I'm keeping some of the lines with texture just to try it, see what different ways you can get down to some of the detail, these slightly overlapping lines to show in the feet here. So it builds that up pretty quick. That builds that up. Again, just a thin line. And if it's going to be textured, showing some of the fur, that's always possible there. Building that section up there. So now you have them pretty well covered with a thin outline. Now you can go back in and use the thicker side of the marker to try it out, just to see how it's going to work. And just look for the lower part. Follow some of that initial sketch. And that'll give you some thickness in the line to help you out. So this part be thicker. There. Even taking a look at the hand, the arm just coming across. Maybe a little bit of this part. And you can always go back in with the thin marker again and just touch it up a bit. So it just gives you a little bit more variety to that. So there's the character with a little bit of thin and thick connected. Going to come back to the section with the finer point. And you can see that you can kind of check the outline and build that part up. Take a look at the eye. Rotate the drawing so it's easier to make your stroke. And then this part, just going to use a little bit of the come offset a little bit to get a little bit of the texture. And just see about putting a little bit of the fur closer together for the values, a little further apart for the hatch lines. Come down here a little bit. It's almost like shading a little bit with that section. Darkening this. Putting some extra strokes in there. And just kind of using some hatch lines just for the fur, at the same time shading in the darker values, just to bring some of that up. And a little sound effect in there. That's that up. Come down into the feet. And you can really add that section there. That's that piece in there. And here you can see where you can go even thicker down here. Gives you that part. And have a little bit of a razor line here. Just to use that as well. Help with a little bit of the shading there. Section across there. So if you have a micron panel help, just putting a little tone on the other side. Let's see what it looks like. Built up into there. So you get a little bit of depth and shading with this drawing. And go back in. Put a little bit of the lines for the eyes up there. And again, when it dries, you can take out the pencil lines, but there you have a beginning section.